Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to do something a little different tonight. We are going to be doing I'm calling it a watch party. It's not like a big party, but we're going to be on the air when the big Biden interview with ABC News' George Stephanopoulos airs on ABC at 8 p.m. And we're not going to show it. You can watch it there, and I'll tell you where to watch it. So just to be clear, we're going to talk about it and take your comments on it and discuss it. So it's like a watch party, see? But I can't steal the interview. And if I find, they might even be showing it on their YouTube. And if they do, I'll just post a link for you. So I'm going to be watching it here, and I looked before, and I think they might be showing it on their YouTube channel, but I'm not positive. I'm actually going to look right now and see if they have it posted yet. But definitely, if you get ABC, you can watch it there. I believe they're showing it on their. I believe they're going to show it on their website too. Let's see. Hold on. Is this it right here? Is this it? Yes. I think this is it. I'm going to give you guys a link where I think you can watch it at 8 o'clock. Sure looks to me like this, that they're going to show it here. Hang on one second. I'll post it in the chat. I'm not. Oh, I got it. Okay, good. All right. I'm gonna post it, and I'm gonna pin the link. Link to interview at 8 p.m. ET. I just posted it, and I'm going to pin it in the chat. I'll actually put it in the description on YouTube, too. Because I want you guys to be able to see it while I'm watching it. Okay? So hang on a moment here. I'm going to pin that to... Okay, I think I just posted it in the description. I really want to have people be able to watch it. But I found a YouTube link, so you can all watch it while we're discussing it. Did that work? Yeah, I posted the link in the chat. Or I posted the link in our description on YouTube, on our YouTube broadcast. Maybe I should pin that on Twitch too. Sorry, I'll get to it. I just found this link, so that way you can all watch it. Hang on a moment here. Just hang on one moment. Hang on one moment. We'll get your comments. There's already a clip out. We'll talk about that too. There's a clip out from the interview. We're definitely going to talk about that in a second. Oops, sorry. What is that? Wait, what happened? Did that work? Did the link work? Uh-oh. Yes, ABC News Prime, Biden exclusive. Let me just make sure I posted the right link here. Yes, that's the right link. Okay. Can I pin that on Twitch? Oh, it got pinned by McBritches. Thanks, McBritches. Okay, we're here. Again, they're showing it on streaming at 8:30. Oh, really, Jonah? Maybe I'll have to take the link down. Where is it? Jonah said they're showing it on streaming at 8:30. They're showing it on ABC at 8. Jeffrey M. says, why are you being so anti-Biden lately? Wow, I didn't know. I mean, is it really anti-Biden to look at that performance and say, hey, I don't think that was a good performance? I think most Americans think that. Is it anti-Biden to cover whether the President of the United States is pulling out of the race? I mean, that seems like a big story. Is it anti-Biden to say, wow, when he or his press secretary says his debate performance was due to a cold? When they blame it on travel that ended 12 days before the debate, and they also blame it on a cold. Is it anti-Biden to say that I don't buy that, I'm kind of insulted when they say that to me, or is it just being reasonable? And this is what happened. Same thing when I say stuff about Trump. Guys, whoever you support, if someone has some criticism of a political figure that you support, that doesn't mean they're anti that person. That doesn't mean they're biased towards that person. It's possible that the political figure that you support sometimes actually does something that merits criticism from a reasonable person. So please try to separate in your minds well-founded criticism not based on having it in for someone and not based on being biased against someone, but criticism which is reasonable given all the factors at play. Reasonable for a non-biased, just rational person to have. Because this is what happens on both sides. You say a negative thing about Trump, a critical thing about Trump, and people say, you're biased against Trump. You're anti-Trump. You say something negative about Biden, criticism of Biden, you get, why are you so anti-Biden? So you got to make the distinction. Not all criticism of a political candidate you like or political figure you like is because the person criticizing is biased against that figure. Maybe, just maybe, your favored political candidate did something which actually deserves to be criticized. Okay? All right. Anyways. Sonic says YouTube TV program guide shows 7 p.m. ABC in Arizona Pacific. I mean, I believe it's airing at the same time everywhere. And I know it's airing at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yes. So I know it's airing on ABC. ABC's website says it's going to be airing on TV on ABC at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So I don't know, Sonic, why in Arizona. Arizona time now is 4:20. I don't know why it'd be airing at 7 p.m. local time in Arizona. Because Arizona time right now is 4:20 in Phoenix. So it should be airing in 40 minutes. Maybe there's something messed up with the Arizona. Or maybe they just changed it. But again, I literally just read on the ABC website, it said 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time on ABC. And I know on YouTube TV, because I have it here, it's airing at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So maybe there's something messed up. Hang on. And then, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, it says George Stephanopoulos reports at 8:30. Now I'm all confused. So I'm going to take down the link because it looks like the link, it's so confusing. It looks like maybe on the website, ABC on YouTube is going to be airing it on YouTube at 8:30. So confusing. So I'm going to pull down that link that I posted. I think one of the mods just did it on Twitch. Let me just change the description on YouTube. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why they're having it on a different time on their YouTube feed that they would on TV. Because they want people to watch on TV. It's just confusing. Hold on. Hang on. Okay. Hey, by the way, a quick thanks to Sean TV. That's very kind of you, Sean TV, and Lewis R. Very generous of you. Thanks for your support of the channel, Sean TV and Lewis R. That's very kind of you. Lewis says, the clip seemed pretty bad. We're going to talk about, so a clip from the interview has been released. I have a transcript of it. I'll actually post a link. I'll post a link to the clip that's been released. I have a link to the clip that's been released. Okay, so I can post, I can give you that. Hang on. And then you guys can watch it. Where is it here? Right here. Here's the clip. So I saw a report from, was it Michael Grunbaum, who said the interview is believed to be a little, like over 20 minutes, which I thought it'd be longer. I thought it'd be like an hour. Michael W. Grunbaum, who reports for the New York Times, says the interview is a bit longer than 20 minutes. I thought it'd be like an hour. It's a bit longer than 20 minutes. There's a 2-minute clip floating around, and I'm going to post a link to the 2-minute clip right now in the chat so you could see it. ABC News posted a 2-minute clip. Okay, so hold on 1 second here. I am posting the clip right now. 2-minute clip from interview. I just posted it there. You can see it on X, and also you can read about the clip. Transcript of 2-minute clip. I think this is a transcript. Text of 2-minute clip. I'm posting the link to you. I just posted it. So you can see you can see 2 minutes of it right now. Okay, hold on. Lewis R. said, hard to evaluate because I think I have some confirmation in that I'm anticipating him making a mistake, but he just doesn't seem strong. And Lewis says he voted for Biden in 2020. So Sean says, get out and vote this election. Thanks again, Sean and Lewis. That's very kind of you. Thanks also to our members, Earth Citizen, 3, Sonic, and all of our other members there on YouTube, and our Twitch subscribers and our Facebook subscribers, and Red Squirrel 82 for your support, and Janet Burnett and John Wayne, and Harper Ann. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate that. And also, so we're going to be talking about this during the interview. I'm going to be watching it here. You can watch it at home. We're going to be talking about it during the interview, kind of listening and talking. Then we'll talk more about it after. We're doing this because it's an important moment in the campaign. So we don't just, I wouldn't just cover any interview with Biden or any interview with Trump or any interview with anybody else. But this is like a big moment. Clearly, this is an attempt by the Biden campaign to change Americans' mind, maybe change Democrats' minds who are calling for him to a lot of more and more Democrats are calling for him to step aside in the race. So it's a key moment in this race, in this election campaign. And, oh, there's something about, hold on a second, I just saw some news. Hang on. What is this? CNN says moments ago, Democratic representatives call on Biden to leave the race. What are they reporting here? Hold on a moment. We might have some breaking news. What is this news? Oh, you know what? I think this might be old news or like not brand new. They had a headline that made it seem like it just happened, and maybe they're talking about the last couple days. It's one of these things where it says breaking news, but I think they're kind of like posting a bunch of things from the last couple of days as breaking news. So for the moment, I'm not seeing it anywhere else. So I don't see anything new. I don't see about any new Democrats calling for it in the last few minutes. Okay. What time is the interview that? It's literally right there. It's literally right there. Okay. By the way, let me just thank our moderators real quick, and then we'll get to the discussion. Ruth Krafasi is moderating. BZ is moderating. Sarah55, RJ, thank you so much for moderating there. Linda Belk and Larry moderate for us on X. Hey, thanks Andrew Schlegel for your support, by the way. I really appreciate it. Andrew Schlegel, thank you. and Red Squirrel 82 for the gift membership. Also, thanks to our Twitch moderators, Big Ball of Yarn, David Green, I Got That Fire, Idaho Star, McBritches, Sarah, and Papa Bear. And a big shout out to our Facebook moderators. Really appreciate you moderating over there. Give me one moment here, guys. 31 minutes till the interview airs. Kay Lowry Body, Paul Anderson, Bud Green, thanks, and all of our other moderators, thank you. All right, so let me just pull one other thing up here. No, hey guys, it says moments ago, Democratic representatives call on Biden to leave the race. What is going on? CNN is reporting there's breaking news. It says moments ago, Democratic representatives call on Biden to leave the race. Hold on a second. Who are they saying said this? I'm very confused. It literally, the headline says, moments ago, Democratic representatives call on Biden to leave the race. I think Brad Sherman is on CNN right now calling for him to leave the race. Hang on, guys. I'm trying to figure this out right now.
The first step is tonight, but the second step is a longer and lighter.
Oh, maybe he's not saying he should leave the race right now. This guy on right now, Brad Sherman, representative. I'm very confused. I'm very confused because there's a headline on CNN that says, moments ago, Democratic reps call on Biden to leave the race. Has anyone seen this new information about? It says moments ago. No one in the chat is saying they've seen it. What did you see for 2 hours? No, but 2 hours, guys, 2 hours ago isn't moments ago. 2 hours ago is not moments ago. You know what? Give me 1 second here. What I'm going to do, in case I need to show you guys anything. Let's just do this real quick. I want to make sure this, that's the White House website. I want to just make sure the ticker is up on both, on these other places here. Hang on. I'm so confused. Washington Post posted an article. Is it new? I mean, it's important news if it just happened that more. There's no new article in the Washington Post. There's an article that they're reporting that Senator Mark Warner seeks to form group of Democratic senators to ask Biden to exit race. But that was posted hours ago. All right, their headline is off. I don't know what's going on with CNN. Give me one moment here. Let me do one other quick thing. Let me just do one other quick thing here. Thanks for your patience. I'm going to do one other quick thing. One other quick thing so I can see something while we're talking. Okay, good. That's good. I like it. Wonderful, wonderful. Get this over here. Put that there. Okay, we're good to go. And we'll do this, put that there. Okay. All right. Guys, I'm trying to bring you breaking news updates. At the same time, we're talking about this interview. So let's talk about the full interview is going to air on ABC in 27 minutes. It's supposed to be on some of ABC's social media, but I don't know which exactly. It's kind of confusing. And then their YouTube pages, ABC News YouTube is saying they're going to air it at 8:30, I think. It's called, that's kind of confusing too. Anyways, 26 minutes and 52 seconds on ABC TV. Yes, the interview is pre-recorded. I don't know if it'll be edited. I have no idea if any of it will be edited. ABC has said that they will release a full transcript of it. I don't know if there's going to be any edits in the actual video part of the interview. So, what ABC did do is they have posted it looks like a transcript of the 2-minute clip. So let me show you this. ABC News on their website posted this 2-minute clip. So it says, you can see it says ABC News, Stephanopoulos immediately dove into last Tuesday's showdown. And again, you'll see this in the interview, but they've already released like 2 minutes of it. Stephanopoulos immediately dove into last Thursday's showdown, which sparked widespread alarm among Democratic lawmakers and pundits about Biden's ability to campaign and serve another 4 years. Let's start with the debate. You and your team said you had a bad night, Stephanopoulos began. Sure did, Biden responded. Okay. Stephanopoulos went on to ask Biden about a statement from former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. He said, Stephanopoulos says, but your friend Nancy Pelosi actually framed the question that I think is on the minds of millions of Americans. Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition? Stephanopoulos asked. It was a bad episode, Biden said. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing and a bad night. Okay. Stephanopoulos then asked about, because Biden spent nearly a week after Camp David after his travel. Stephanopoulos then pressed Biden, and again, you can see this in the clip and you'll see this in the interview. Why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time? Biden responded, because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked if they did a COVID test because they're trying to figure out what was wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, a virus. I didn't. I just had a really bad cold. Then, and again, I've seen this in the clip. I've watched the clip myself. You can watch it on abcnews.com or on their, go to their X feed, ABC News X page. Stephanopoulos asked Biden, did you ever watch the debate afterwards? And Biden responds, I don't think I did, no. Which, I'm sorry, just seems insane. There's no way he doesn't know if he watched the debate. And it also seems crazy to think he didn't watch the debate. I can't see a world in which he never watched the debate after at all. He didn't see any of it. He didn't watch any of it. But he didn't even say no. He said, I don't think I did. So again, this is not being biased against Biden. That doesn't make sense to me. Did he know, Stephanopoulos asked him, did he know how badly it was going while he was on stage? Biden says, yeah, look, the whole way I prepared, nobody's fault, mine. Nobody's fault but mine. I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down as I did come back with foreign leaders or National Security Council for explicit detail. And I realized partway through that, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down 10 points before the debate, 9 now, or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is, when I looked at this, what I looked at is he also lied 28 times. The way the debate ran, my fault, nobody else's fault, no one else's fault. But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question, and even before he spoke, Stephanopoulos asked. Well, I just had a bad night, Biden said. So if you want to, you can read this. This is like, I think, the text of 2-minute clip of debate. I'm going to post a link to the chat, and you can watch the clip there. I just posted the link to this webpage in the chat. But basically, they released a 2-minute clip, and this page I've been reading you is just like a transcript, it looks like, where they either quote from the clip or say what was happening in the clip. And again, I'll post that link to the clip again so you can watch it. By the way, regarding his comment about that quote about the New York Times, Nate Silver posted he said that New York Times poll actually only had him down 3 or 4 points. And Nate Silver couldn't figure out, like, what was he referring to when he said the New York Times poll that had him down by 10 points. I don't know what poll that was either. All right. I can probably find this for you here. Yeah, so look, guys. Right, just to be clear, so Biden talks, during that clip, he says, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down 10 points before the debate. Well, I'm going to the New York Times website, and it says who's leading the polls, and it looks like 3 points which it is like now, is like the biggest difference they've had in a while. Oh no, that's national polling average. Do we have their polls? New York Times poll. Oh yeah, no, the New York Times poll, wasn't their poll 6 points after the debate, and they said that was the biggest lead that Trump had? I think, if I remember that right. So again, I don't remember there being a poll that had him down in New York Times by 10%. But again, if I remember right, I thought that the New York Times said, yeah, I have it right here. I have the article from the New York Times. Right, exactly. So after the debate, the New York Times said there's a new poll we have where Biden has 43 and Trump has 49. So Trump's leading by 6. This was after the debate. And they wrote in their article, they said it is the largest lead Trump has recorded in a New York Times Siena poll since 2015. So they never had him down 10% or 9%. But he says in the interview, what he says is, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down 10 points before the debate, 9 now, whatever the hell it is. Again, I'm not sure what he's talking about, but to be clear, the New York Times never had him down by that much. So anyways, I'm not intentionally picking on him. I'm just telling you, these are some of the things he says during the interview. But we'll see. I haven't seen most of the interview. There's only a 2-minute clip of this reportedly around 20-minute interview out. Okay, I want to take some of your comments. I just wanted to update you guys, and let me post again a link to the clip of a link to the clip from the interview, so you can watch it if you want. And then at 8 you can watch the interview on ABC. I'll be watching it here, and we'll be chatting about it. Hold on. Here it is right here. Clip of interview. No. Will I stream the interview? It says right here, we will not be showing the interview. Thank you to Detective Seeds for your support. Now, Detective Seeds refers to the fact that Biden did speak at a rally in Wisconsin today, and he was more energetic and his voice was better, in better form than it was for the debate. At one point, he did say that, did he not? I saw a clip of it. At one point, I saw a clip, but I didn't confirm it was from the debate. Did he say, I will beat him again in 2020 today? He might have made a slip. Look, I don't, people speak for an hour. I mean, he might speak for 20 minutes today or whatever. So I don't want to read into, people do, I make slips of the tongue and I say things wrong on the air. So I think he might have said that today, but I don't recall there being a lot of slip ups in what he said today. I was watching it. So I just want to be clear. I think he might have said that today at some point by mistake. I will beat him in 2020 again. But again, I'd have to go back and watch the whole thing word for word. I saw a clip, but I didn't verify the clip. I saw people talking about it on social media. So, anyways, you can go out there and watch it. Find it on the web and watch it if you want. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Detective Seeds. I appreciate that, Detective Seeds. Thanks for your support. Thanks also, John Wayne. And Samuel DeMarco. Samuel mentioned something about Disney. I'll have to find it, Samuel. I'll look it up and see if I can find it. Thanks to Justin Rochkind. I appreciate your support. Allie B says, so what are we doing here for the interview? So apparently Allie B has never heard of a watch party before. Maybe people, and she's watching on YouTube, so apparently she didn't read the viewer description for this broadcast telling you exactly what we're going to do. So maybe somebody can tell Allie B what a watch party is and also tell her that YouTube videos have descriptions and you can read them and find out what the YouTube video is about. Let's see here. Now, we have news. Breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news. New news. Breaking news. Breaking news. All in MSNBC's Chris Hayes reports that Representative Mike Quigley from Illinois has called on Biden to exit the race. Mike Quigley from Illinois, a Democrat, another representative from Congress, said, Mr. President, your legacy is set. We owe you the greatest debt of gratitude. The only thing you can do now is to cement that for all time and prevent utter catastrophe. The only thing that you can do now to cement that for all time and prevent utter catastrophe is to step down and let someone else do this. So breaking news, I just reposted it. I'll post the link in the chat. Representative Mike Quigley has called for a congressional representative from Illinois, Democrat, has called for Biden to step out of the race, to leave the race. I think that's now 3 representatives who've just explicitly said he should leave. And then there's a few others who have suggested he should, but have not explicitly said he definitely should. Like Seth Moulton seemed to be implying he should, but I don't know that Seth Moulton has specifically, clearly said, yes, you should definitely leave the race. All right, so that's breaking news. Breaking news. There's been reporting out there floating around saying there's a lot more representatives and donors who want him to leave the race who have not spoken up yet. I don't know if that's true, but I'm wondering if we're going to see more and more. Yeah, and I just saw some people had sent me that too. Thanks to everybody who sent me the I just saw it myself. A bunch of people like Kristen Coughlin and Jonah Katz and others sent me that news item from MSNBC. What a time to do that, though. What a time to make this announcement just shortly. What a time to make this announcement just shortly before the interview. So this congressperson, not only Mike Quigley, Democrat from Illinois, not only does he go on with MSNBC and say live, Biden should step down, but he does it it looks like it was about an hour before less than an hour before the interview aired. Okay, so that's new news. Oops, I got something there, a little saliva, sorry. I mean, that's really something. All right, I want to read some comments from you guys. So in 12 minutes, this interview is going to air on ABC. I'm going to watch it here on ABC. I would encourage you to watch it as well. And I'll be listening to it. I can't play it, but we can talk about it as it happens. Okay? Yeah, again, it is ABC News is airing it at 8 p.m. because they said that they were on their website, and I can see it on my TV. It is now. It looks like maybe on social media, maybe it's at 8:30, but ABC News on TV has it at 8 p.m. Yes, it is 8 p.m. On ABC. So you got to have ABC. If you don't have ABC, it looks like you can go to ABC News on YouTube at 8:30, if I'm reading that right. Okay. Now, Tom Grubb thinks they'll have a half hour of filler before the interview starts. I mean, that could be true. That would be really misleading if they did that, if I can say so, because it's been billed as 8 p.m. for the last couple days. Let me go check ABC here. No, they're not going to be. It's not going to be filler, because I can look at my TV guide here and I can see that at 8:30 on my local ABC station, it says Jeopardy Masters. So that means that ABC Network has already made an arrangement with the local channels to have a half-hour block. So if that's the case, they're not going to come on and dawdle around for a half hour and then show it at 8:30, because they're arranged to just have that block of time with the local outlets. Hey, Detective Seeds, that's so kind of you. I really appreciate that, Detective Seeds. Thanks for your generous support. Very nice of you. Also, thanks, Ohio Rando, for your support. Is there any analysis about deep fakes in this or near future elections? I mean, I don't have any special analysis, just that that's obviously something that is an area of concern, that you could have fake videos, especially with all this AI stuff. And I would encourage people to, when they're looking around the web, make sure about stuff, because stuff can be faked pretty easily these days. So that's really my really deep analysis on the whole topic. I'm not a specialist on it. Thanks, Ohio Rando. Thanks, Eric Ross, as well, for your support. Okay, so we have 9 minutes. 9 minutes until it airs. YouTube TV is different. Yeah, so going off of what Russell Adams said in the chat, or Russell Adam, YouTube TV is not YouTube. It's different. YouTube TV is like a streaming TV provider. Like, instead of cable TV, you can get YouTube TV, and it gives you all the basic channels. So YouTube TV is not on YouTube, even though it's called YouTube TV. It's so if you have YouTube TV, you can watch all the basic channels live. So on YouTube TV, on ABC, it's available at 8 p.m. But on YouTube itself, on the ABC News website, it looks like it's going to air at 8:30. So I'm pulling it up on my YouTube TV. But if you get ABC, if you get the networks somewhere where you live or where you are right now, you can turn it on there at 8. Or 5 Pacific time, 8 Eastern time, or do the math, whatever time zone you're in. I wonder if what I should do, you know what I'm going to do? What I should do is I should get my headphones and watch it on my iPad, because that way, I can't play it, but I want to be able to hear it, but I can't play it through my microphone. All right, hang on a second. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take 3 seconds, I think, and get my headphones. What do I put on in the meantime? I'll put on I'll let you look at the White House website for 2 seconds. Hang on. Look at the White House website for 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, it's not breaking news. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm back. I got my headphones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when this starts, start watching it on my iPad. And then I will, then I can talk to you during it, but then it's not, then you're not like hearing an echo of it and stuff like that. If you want to watch it online, you can watch it at 8:30 on ABC News on YouTube. I'm going to just post that. You can watch the interview. Sonic says it will be airing at the start of the primetime block regardless of your time zone. It will not be 5 p.m. Pacific. Are you sure, Sonic? Because they literally said that on their site. I'm looking at the ABC website and it says it. And I've seen that in a bunch of reports. So maybe, I mean, that would mean they just posted the wrong information. Oh, maybe it was old information. No, I'm looking at I'm looking at ABC.com. ABC.com says, watch President Biden's first interview following the presidential debate tonight, 8/7 Central. Watch here. Go to ABC.com. It says 8/7 Central. Watch here. But maybe you have to have ABC and then sign in with your TV provider. It's so confusing. I mean, Sonic might be right. I don't know. It's very confusing. Yeah, so Variety says 8 p.m. Pacific time, Eastern time. Is that true? So if you're in the West Coast, you can't see it till 3 hours later on ABC. So anyways, now I'm confused. So it's going to air here in 4 minutes. It's going to air on this is really stupid. I can't believe it. So like, how do people? And then if you're watching on ABC News on YouTube, it's 8:30. So the only people who can see it in 4 minutes are people like on the East Coast? I'm so confused. How can that be possible? All right, hang on a second. Give me 1 second here. I'm very sorry for the confusion, guys. I am very sorry for the confusion. And I'm trying to see if there's other updates here. Hold on. So much going on. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Hold on. Guys, there is no reliable source out there saying Joe Biden's having a medical emergency on Air Force One. I've seen some people on X post it. They are not reliable sources. If I hear that from any kind of reliable source, I'll let you know. But the sources I'm seeing posting it are not what I would consider reliable sources. Okay? Just to be clear. There's nothing remotely reliable. There's no remotely reliable source I've seen on that yet. Ugh. So, all right, Cindy says she's able to watch it on ABC at 8 o'clock. At 7 o'clock Central Time. So Cindy can see it in Central Time in 1 minute and 40 seconds. So some of you can watch it on ABC. I'm so sorry. It's definitely on ABC on YouTube at 8:30. Maybe they'll run it. Guys, check ABC News on YouTube. Check ABC News on YouTube. Maybe they'll run it at 8. They're showing a clip of it right now. All right, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pull this up on my iPad. Yeah, I really do apologize for the confusion. I'm shocked it's not airing at the same place just around the country. All right, I'm about to watch it on my iPad on my local ABC News affiliate. We can also talk about it at 8:30 when you guys can all watch it on ABC News, on YouTube. Hang on. I have mine pulled up here. We're not showing it anyway. All right. You can watch it on YouTube here at 8:30 ET. So I just posted that. I just posted the YouTube link where you can watch it at 8:30. We'll watch it twice. I'll watch it now at 8, and then I'll watch it again at 8:30. What a mess. I mean, like, so the people on the West Coast, they expect them to sit there and not like watch it somewhere where they can find it and sit there until 3 hours later and watch it? Okay, I can confirm I am looking at ABC right now. I am looking at ABC. And I'm on the East Coast. All right, so let me change the headline. Biden interview airing now on ABC in some time zones. There are no cuts and no edits in the interview. There are no cuts and no edits in the interview, guys. All right, it's starting now. I'm listening to it. I'm going to fix the headline. So I'm going to talk about it with you guys. If you can't hear it, you'll get it at 8:30 online. All right, it's airing right now. And they're playing, I think, the first 2 minutes of that already got released before. All right, I'm just fixing the ticker there. All right, so they're airing the part they already released a clip of. No, I can't show it later. By the way, it's a 22-minute uncut interview. 22 minutes uncut. If you can't watch it now, it's going to air on ABC News on YouTube in 27 minutes. All right. Stephanopoulos is saying that the debate seemed to confirm fears Americans have. Biden is saying that after the debate, he did events after that. And he had no problems, he said. He said he keeps saying he just had a bad night. He said he let Trump's shouting when he was talking distract him. We'll be reading comments from you after this thing too. He's asked, is he the same man today as he was when he took office? He's talking about his accomplishments in office. So, again, you'll be able to watch it if you can't right now. You can watch it on ABC News on YouTube in 24 minutes. No, I can't show the video, guys. He's saying again he had a bad night. He's talking now about how he thinks his economic plan is better than Trump's. He says, can I run the 110 in 10 flat? No, but I'm still in good shape. He says doctors continually assess him when he's traveling. Stephanopoulos said, have you had a full neurological and cognitive evaluation? And Biden says, I get a full neurological test every day. I think he means in his work. Stephanopoulos repeats the question. He said, Biden said no, nobody said he had to get an examination with a neurologist. Again, now he's saying, I have a cognitive test every single day. Okay. So Stephanopoulos said, hey, to reassure the American people, would you be willing to have this independent medical evaluation? And Biden is, he's not agreeing to do it, basically. He's now kind of listing his accomplishments again as a way of saying he can get a lot done in the next 4 years. Hey guys. I got a link for you. Thanks to Succuled. I got a link. I just posted a link right now. I posted a link for you right now. Is he? Stephanopoulos is asking if he's being honest with himself. Is he sure he's being honest with himself, saying he wants to serve for another 4 years? So the questions really are about his health and whether he thinks he's able to do it for 4 more years. He's not asking him like random policy questions. He also is saying he can beat Donald Trump. He's asking about him falling further behind in the polls. Biden is saying that he doesn't believe the polling data. He says, I remember them telling me in 2020, I can't win. The polls show I can't win. And he's saying he won in 2020. Now Stephanopoulos is asking him about his falling approval rating. Biden's saying that he still thinks he's got a really good chance at winning. Okay, Stephanopoulos says, do you really think you're not behind right now? And Biden says, all the pollsters I've talked to says it's a toss-up. So Biden says he thinks it's a toss-up right now. Wait, what is this 10 points poll? He's claiming again the New York Times had him behind 10 points. That never happened. That's the second time in the interview he's claimed the New York Times had him down by 10 points. They never did. Not in this election cycle. Now he's saying Trump is a pathological liar. I think there's probably about 5 minutes left in the interview. It's 22 minutes long. He's asking now if the congressional leaders come to him and say they might want him to leave. What is he going to say? He said he's spoken to all of them in detail. And he says they all say he should stay in the race, like Hakeem Jeffries and Pelosi and Schumer. Stephanopoulos says, what if they do? And Biden says they're not going to do that. He's just asked if his allies tell him that they're concerned he's going to lose if he stays in, what will you do? And he says, I'm not going to answer that question. It's not going to happen. He says, how many people draw clouds like I drew today, he said. Stephanopoulos is asking him again about. All right, Stephanopoulos is saying, like, have you not seen like the fall off in the polls and people like Democrats who are unsatisfied? And he says, I've seen it in the press. He thinks the vast majority of Democrats want him to run. He doesn't think his approval rating is 36%, which is what the poll shows. He said, who's going to hold NATO together like me? He's talking about why he should be president. We're going to talk to you guys about this after. I think I'm like 30 seconds behind, so I'm just watching the end of it. I'm just watching the last few seconds. All right, I just watched the end of it. Okay, so, all right. So first of all, if you weren't able to see it, I have posted a link. This Cleveland ABC affiliate was airing it on ABC on YouTube, so I can't say anything about that. But you can watch it there. So again, I've posted a link, and I'll post it again. Link to interview. It's also it's going to be on ABC News on YouTube in 8 minutes. But I think you can just go to the link and watch it right now. You can rewind it if you want. So link to interview. I'm posting it right now. Okay. Okay. So I just posted it. So you can go watch it. I just posted the link. I want to hear what you think. Sorry, I was trying to listen at the time it was going on. And I want to hear what you thought of it. But so basically it was interesting because it wasn't like 5 minutes of questions about like, will you get out of the race? And then like 15 minutes of let's talk about like policy or something. Like, I guess I thought maybe like part of it would be about the race and part of it would just be like regular interview. No, it was pretty tough questioning the entire time from George Stephanopoulos on like things like, will you agree to have a cognitive exam by a neurologist? How about these polls that are saying you're way behind and you don't have a good approval rating? Asking him why he didn't perform better during the debate, asking him, questioning his responses to that. What do you say to the people who are saying, you should get out? What happens if people in Congress or your supporters, your allies come and say, will you get out? So it kind of just continued. And he seemed to not like Biden said he wasn't going to take a cognitive exam. He kind of like fought a bunch of the premises of the questions. He said he wasn't going to take a cognitive exam. When he would be asked about polling, he said he thought the race was a toss-up, and he questioned the polls. He thought that his approval rating wasn't as low as the poll that Stephanopoulos quoted was saying, or the polls. He also said he didn't think actually. Stephanopoulos said, what about? I think something like people in Congress who are calling for you to step down and people who are unhappy with you. And he said, I'm seeing that in the press. So a bunch of the time, Stephanopoulos would ask him about some kind of bad news or something. And he seemed to deny the bad news like he did with the polling a bunch. So very interesting. I want to hear what you have to say. But again, I've posted a link to it. That you can just go watch it. And you can go to ABC News on YouTube. I think they're airing it in 4 minutes from the start too. But you should be able to see it now because I've posted that link. All right. I want to hear from you guys. A quick thanks, by the way. Let me just say a quick thanks to, and I'm going to get you some analysis too, but I want to hear your comments. Thank you, Thorn Ravenstar, for your support, to JB for your support, Genesis11, Succuled, thanks for letting me know about the link, Succuled. House of Virgo, Crystal L, Kita G, Crazy Yoda, Bebop and Rocksteady, Joe, Harper Ann, PZ Papa Zulu, thank you. Also, ICPL76 and Ann Carolyn on Twitch. All right, let me take some comments from you guys. Sorry. Let's see. Paula Thompson says the press can't find anything bad about his policies, so this is what they are jumping on. Bilbo Baggins said he answered all the questions. I think he's referring to Jill Biden saying after the debate he answered all the questions. Emily says, I don't think he's a horrible person, but at this point he isn't fit to run our country and be a world leader. So his voice was a bit scratchy during it. That I noticed. JSR viewer says, not great, not terrible. No, there is no reliable reporting whatsoever that Biden is having a medical emergency. His plane landed. He got off the plane. Akayla Gardner, who's with Bloomberg, reported that after he got off the plane, he said he will watch this ABC interview. So there is absolutely no reliable reporting whatsoever that he's having a medical emergency. Just because somebody posts something on social media does not mean it's true. Let's see. I want to. Eve Richards thinks this is about ego. He was very, I don't know if defensive is the right word, but you can imagine a world in which he gave this interview and the tone was something like, look, I get why people are questioning me. I get it. That was not his tone. There was a lot of denial in there. The Ringa X says denial is not a river in Egypt. It certainly felt very defiant. And Doug Cahill thought it felt dismissive. Cruz Red Eye thought he was very defensive and egotistical. CMD says he's complete denial of everything. I'm going to post another link where you can watch it if you haven't seen it. It's about to... Oh, sorry. Biden interview airing on ABC News YouTube. ABC News YouTube. Go there. You can see it right now if you haven't seen it. I just want to pull it up here. I'll post a link to the ABC News YouTube, even though I already posted a link with it. Okay. Biden, live link. Live link. I just posted that. Let me change the headline. Biden interview airing now on ABC News YouTube. Okay, there's that. And then... I want to get some more feedback from you guys. You can write to me on X at Luckner. Also, I'm going to get you some more reaction to it, too, like maybe this politician reaction or something. But I'm interested in getting your comments. Palm Tree Lover says, if he's fine, why not take a cognitive test? Yeah, that was another kind of denial thing where Stephanopoulos kept asking him, like, will you take a cognitive test? And... like when he said, for example, Stephanopoulos said, have you taken a cognitive test? And Biden said, I take one every day. But that's not really what he was talking about. Biden was saying, I get one at work. Meaning my work is a cognitive test. But then eventually he just wouldn't agree to get one, which is fine if he doesn't want to do that. But at first, he wasn't directly answering the question. Dean R. says, rewatching interview. He just had a bad night. Yeah, he did say that. Also, I will point out again, as I said earlier, he was asked, did you ever watch the debate afterwards? And he said, I didn't think I did. I don't think I did know, which to me is crazy for two reasons. First of all, he's not going to forget whether he watched the debate. He knows. Second of all, in what world does he not watch the debate after? That doesn't make any sense to me. Really? He never watched the debate after at all? He still hasn't bothered to watch a 5-minute clip? Ever? Oh, so I'll put the new link up. Did they take? Did the Cleveland ABC outlet link get taken down? No, it's still working. That's working. Is that working? Yeah, they're both those links are still working. Yeah, it was interesting. I wasn't expecting, whether you liked the interview or not, I wasn't expecting such a defiant tone. I'm going to take these up. He was very defiant. Lexite says, he said when he asked if he was watching the debate, if he watched the debate, I don't think I did know. That was weird. Hang on a second. Someone else said, Kaltenberg says, expecting a different attitude. Cajun Shrimp said, short interview. Also, I thought the interview would be longer, but at the same time, Like, I don't know, given the way that interview was going, I don't know if a longer interview would have done anyone much good, because it wasn't really like an expansive interview. It was kind of like about the same types of things. You know, it wasn't like, hey, let's talk about policy or something. So given that it was all on that, all about like, will you pull out? You know, do you really think you can win at this point? That kind of stuff. You know, I don't know that it needed to be longer. Seeing it. Matt says, did you see Biden's comments about Mark Warner? Yeah, I mean, Mark Warner, it was reported today in the Washington Post that Mark Warner is gathering a group of senators to maybe go ask Biden to not run. Senator Warner seeks to form a group of senators to ask Biden to exit race. So you know, he said he disagreed with them. I don't remember the exact words. I'm going to see if I can get... ABC is supposed to post a transcript. It'd be great if they posted that transcript. I'd love to see the transcript posted, because then we could go over the exact answers. They are supposed to post a transcript of the whole interview, which I have not seen yet. But, I mean, he did say this thing where, like, at one point he said Mark Warner tried to get the nomination, which made it sound like he was implying that Mark Warner was bitter over it or something. But that wasn't all of his answer. He did say, like, him and Warner disagree, I think. Anyways, maybe in a few minutes, ABC will post the actual transcript and we can go over all the exact language. Thank you, Matt S. Andrew Schlegel is not buying that he can't remember if he watched a 90-minute debate in the last week. Well, no, Andrew says, can't remember if he watched a 90-minute debate in the past week. That's not concerning on its own. Thanks, Andrew, for your support. Thank you, Aaron, for your support. And Kenneth Colton. Kenneth says, if Biden dropped out of the race, who could possibly take his spot and stand a chance to beat him in only 5 months? Look, I mean, Biden thinks he's the best person to do it. So he thinks he's the one to do it. It sounds like, Kenneth, you don't think somebody else could. Thank you, Kenneth. PZ Papa Zulu, thanks for the gift memberships, by the way. The Ringa X, John Wayne. Hang on, I want to take some more comments from you guys. Joe thought it was worse than a debate. Oh, okay. I'm going to ask a poll question in the chat. The poll question is going to be, do you think that interview will help Biden with those who want him to not run? Okay, that's my question to you. Do you think that interview will help Biden with those who want him to not run? You know, or those who are have great concerns about him running. I'm posting it on Twitch right now, by the way. Give me a moment here. Okay, on our YouTube broadcast, do you think that interview will help Biden with those who want him to not run? Let me show you what the current poll numbers are among our YouTube voters. Over on YouTube, people are saying 83% say no, it will not help him with those who want him to not run. 17% say it will. Over there on Twitch, 93% on Twitch say no. That will not help him with those who want him to not run. Now, I could have phrased it a little differently. I could have phrased it, will it help people? Will it help him with those who have big concerns with him after the debate? My guess is that you would probably give pretty similar answers to that question. So most of you seem to think that debate, that interview is not really going to help him much. That's the general sense I get. Flanzy says the interview just fed fuel to the fire. You know, I'll say this though, guys. I'll say this. I'm going to end the poll now. Thank you for voting. I'm going to say this. So look, the tone of that interview, as a bunch of you have said, and I agree with you, it was very defiant. Denying a bunch of stuff, like denying that he was even behind in the polls, and very defiant and a bit confrontational. So if the purpose of that interview is to win back the support of people who you might have lost in the debate with the debate performance, I don't know if being defiant and denying stuff is the way to go. Because you want to reach, if the person you're trying to reach is the person that has doubts about you, basically just saying, oh, nobody doubts, people don't doubt me, I'm not behind in the polls, everything's fine. I don't think that that's going to really satisfy the person who has doubts about you. Now, I don't know if that's his target audience, but if it is his target audience, it didn't seem like there was a lot of outreach to the people who really have doubts about him. You know, it's like you're kind of brute forcing, just telling them like, no, what you're saying is wrong. It wasn't like, you know, like, again, another attitude would have been like, look, I want to just tell the people out there, you know, who watched my debate performance and were disappointed with me, I'm sorry, I let you guys down. I shouldn't have let it happen. But look, I'm going to win you back. I'm going to go out there and do a bunch of I'm going to do a live interview tomorrow or whatever. I'm going to do a town hall. I know why. I get it. Did he ever say I get it? He could just say I get it. I get why you have doubts after that debate, but watch what I do. I think I know what you're thinking, but I think if you give me a second chance and you watch the next couple of weeks with an open mind, I think you'll be happy. You know, there's just a way of doing it where you're acknowledging their view. But this seemed to be more of just like, no, you're Stephanopoulos, you're full of crap, you know, and kind of powering through. And I don't know, if you're trying to win the people back, you might want to acknowledge their view, but that was not the strategy here. Now maybe I'm wrong, maybe that wouldn't work very well, but that clearly was not the strategy. D Donut said, did he seem confused in the interview? If no, then what was the issue? Well, I think you could pick things out. So twice in the interview, he said the New York Times had him down by 10 points. They have never had him down by 10 points or close to 10 points in this election cycle. So I don't know what he's talking about. He was asked if he watched the debate, and he said, I don't think I did know, which just seems like crazy talk because you definitely would remember if you watched it. And I can't imagine he didn't actually watch it. So I don't know what's going on there. Also, at one point he said, this was kind of a new thing. He said, Kenneth Vogel posted this quote from him, and I remember it. He said, it came to me, I think the question was, when did it come to you? When did you realize you were having a bad night? And he said, it came to me I was having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting and I let it distract me. But I'm not blaming it on that, but I realized that I just wasn't in control. First of all, that doesn't really answer the question that was asked. Second of all, I haven't heard him say that before. Is he was distracted by Trump shouting. Third of all, I'm not aware that Trump was, I mean, that's the first I've heard about this, that Trump was shouting when his mic was off. And that was distracting Biden, because I wasn't aware of it. I've not heard a single report saying that Trump was shouting during the debate when his mic was off. So, I mean, again, yeah, when I see a quote like that, somebody might see a quote like that, says that seems like he's a little confused. Like, what's going on? Is he lying, or is he misremembering, or did we just not know what was going on watching the debate? But so I think what you need to do is, when we get this transcript, you can go through the transcript and look at things. But that's a quote to me where I look at the actual words he says, and someone could definitely raise some issues about that answer to the question. So he wasn't confused in the interview. Like, for the most part, it didn't seem to me like he had these, like, a moment like in the debate where he just like kind of stopped. There was a moment in the debate where he like kind of lost his train of thought and like wasn't even saying anything for a few seconds. There wasn't that kind of thing, but there's certainly other parts of things he said which I think might seem confused to some viewers. But I would like to get the transcript again and be able to go over it, because I don't remember every word of a 22-minute interview. And I don't know, maybe for a lot of Americans who had doubts, they'll watch that interview and be like, oh, that's okay, my doubts are taken care of. I don't know that that's going to be the case. Jonathan Karl posted this exchange from the interview. George Stephanopoulos, if you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down? Biden laughs. It depends on if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, I might do that. He was asked, do you really believe you're not behind right now? He replied, all the pollsters I talk to tell me it's a toss-up. Okay, Jonathan Karl with ABC News. According to Catherine Watson, Jonathan Karl, who's a chief Washington correspondent with ABC News, he said there was nothing in this interview that will force Biden out of the race, but there is nothing in it that will calm the nerves of Democrats who want him out. Oh, by the way, hold on a second. Andrew Feinberg also said this. Andrew Feinberg is with The Independent. So at one point, Biden was asked about Mark Warner, the senator, the report in the Washington Post that Mark Warner is trying to form a group of senators, Democratic senators, to ask Biden to exit the race. And one of the things Biden said in response to that was that Warner had run for president. And it kind of made it sound like he was saying that Warner like had it in for him, because like Warner wanted to be president at some point. Anyways, Andrew Feinberg says, wow, Biden just claimed Mark Warner, who is reportedly gathering senators to push him to stand down, also sought the Democratic nomination as president. Andrew Feinberg with The Independent says, Warner has never run for president, though he was once governor of Virginia and stood up an exploratory committee in 2008. So I do think, again, I would be interested in getting the transcript of this and going over some of the specific things that were said. All right, I want to hear some more about what you guys thought. Hang on a moment here. I'm going to read some more comments from you guys. Paul Leopold says, what time of day was the interview taped? It was in the afternoon sometime. I believe it was after his rally. Like a few hours ago, I believe, but I don't know exactly. Our viewer, DuckDuckGoFast, says, this is what DuckDuckGoFast says. DuckDuckGoFast says, independent medical exam or an exam with 2 doctors that Congress designate, 1 GOP and 1 Democratic doctor. It is the only way this even has a chance of going away. This was supposed to be most transparent administration. Oh, there's an auto-generated YouTube transcript, one of our viewers said. That's interesting. On the Cleveland link? Where's that at? How do I get the transcript? How do I get the transcript off of YouTube? I'm looking at that News 5 Cleveland video of it. I'm not seeing a link. Is it share? Where is it? Somebody will say it in the chat. I don't see a link for it there. Under more? Where's more? Where's more? Danette thinks George Stephanopoulos was basically telling Biden he's a problem and Biden wouldn't listen. Oh, in the description. Oh. Yes, show transcript. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a little hard to go through that transcript. So if you go to the News 5 Cleveland link, which I'll post in the chat, and you go to the description, you can activate the transcript function. But I would prefer to have the whole transcript. ABC is going to release the whole thing, but I'm not aware that they have yet. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, can't unsee the debate. Now I can't unsee that interview. Terrence thinks I'm anti-Biden. Again, I addressed that at the beginning of the show. I will say again, Terrence, I don't believe any of the criticisms I've had of Biden over the debate or the aftermath at all are criticisms that show that I am biased against Biden. When President Biden is asked, did you ever watch the debate afterwards? And his answer is, I don't think so, no. That I am upset by that because, first of all, I can't imagine that he doesn't know for a fact whether he watched the debate. Second of all, I can't imagine that he hasn't watched the debate. So I do not find that a satisfactory answer. And when he blames having a cold, I find that highly unsatisfactory. No one acts like he acted last week in the debate because of a cold. So say me having these responses is not because I'm biased against Biden. It's because I'm a reasonable human being. So let me just say again, if you like a political candidate and somebody criticized that political candidate, that doesn't mean they're biased against your candidate. Maybe, just maybe, that political candidate actually did something which deserved criticism. Same thing when I cover Trump. Say something negative about him. Why are you so anti-Trump? Thanks so much to Ron Delabio, by the way. Ron says, I'm concerned that he is content with losing if he does his best, but it's what his current best is that is on the table here. There's a massive disconnect. So what Ron is referring to is when I think Stephanopoulos said something like, basically, if you stay in the race and you lose, what will you think about that? And he'll say, like, he'll be happy, he'll be satisfied. I think the answer was something like, I'll be satisfied I did my best. And Ron is concerned that he's okay with that. Again, he doesn't seem to think that anybody else will give a better chance. Thanks to Crazy Yoda, by the way. Crazy thinks it's awful his family are pushing for him to run in the condition he's in. It's reported that his family wants him to run. I mean, he seems to want to generally run himself. He thinks, Crazy Yoda thinks it's a travesty. The media lied about Biden's issues as deepfakes. So I'm not sure what specifically you're referring to, Crazy Yoda. I mean, look, there have been different attitudes in media and among members of Congress, for example, and analysts about the age issue. There were plenty of people questioning whether there should be nobody running against him in the primary last year. Basically, the Democratic establishment seemed to come to an agreement that there was going to be no real competitive primary. But some people were expressing worries about that previously. Thank you, Crazy Yoda. Thank you, also, Kenneth Colton. He says, if Biden dropped out, who could possibly stand against Trump with only 5 months until election? Well, so first of all, I mean, if let's say Biden just tomorrow said, I'm not running. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but let's say he did. So you would have, my guess is, you'd either, I mean, one thing that's likely to happen if that happens is that there would be several potential candidates in the Democratic Party. And there possibly could be some kind of like a compacted kind of a campaign season where they might do several debates and they would do town halls and interviews. And you might get a couple, you might get a good 6 to 8 weeks before the convention and there would be tons of media coverage. So America would become a lot more familiar with these people. And then even after the convention, there'd be like 2.5 months after that. So, I mean, I think if that decision were made soon, there'd be a fair amount of time. It wouldn't be 2 years, but there'd be a fair amount of time for America to get to know the people. So, I don't know for sure. It certainly would need to happen, but I think there would be a lot of media attention on it. There'd be a lot of coverage of it. So whether people watch the coverage, I don't know, but I think there'd be a lot of interest in it. As to whether, as to how much of a handicap that shortened amount of time to run would be, I can't say. It's a fair question. I can't say. Jessica S. says, this is the problem with politics. Nobody thinks their side does anything wrong. Richard says, have you forgotten Kamala has 240 billion? That's not 240, maybe a million in the war chest. And if Joe drops out, it goes to Kamala. So I will say this. I'm not an expert on this, but I've heard many people who know about this more than I do say, no, all the money that's been donated towards Biden campaign doesn't automatically go to Kamala Harris. There's different discussion of it. I don't know the whole exact situation, but it's not clear that like it all just goes to Kamala Harris and nobody else. So, like, yeah, there's an article from NBC News I'm looking at right now. What would happen to Biden's campaign cash if he drops out? And there's some people in the article who are quoted as saying that if she's not the Democratic nominee, then she couldn't access that campaign cash. So I don't know the exact answer. My sense from what I've heard so far is that there's some questions about it. It's not a settled issue. That's my sense of the whole matter. But I don't know. There's also, there was a story about some donors creating a new fund for a different candidate. So like the New York Times had a story saying that a group of donors is working to raise as much as $100 million for as a sort of escrow fund called the Next Generation PAC that would be used to support a replacement candidate. So it's a good question about the money, but I don't believe there's a 100% settled answer on that. But again, I'm not an expert on it. Let's see here. Avion, our viewer Avion says, I was watching how often he trailed off on his thoughts. He seemed like he forgot what point he was trying to make multiple times. That's from our viewer Avion. Thank you for writing in, Avion. So I'm looking at some of the other comments here. Nicola, our viewer, sent me a report from Hunter Walker, who's with Talking Points Memo, who says a high-level Democratic strategist tells me Biden has put Democrats in a no-win position. They don't want to go out there and tank him, but no one can credibly tell their constituents that he should be president for another 4.5 years. I also saw a report today that said... Hunter Walker also purported today, he said, I just talked with a Democratic member of Congress about Biden. They told me this is like Lehman Brothers in 2008, when everyone said the company is going nowhere, it was fine, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And I think what he means by that is that there's a bunch of people in Congress who actually don't want him to run, but who haven't spoken out. Oh, also, a Democratic member of Congress told Hunter Walker that Mark Warner, Democratic senator, has a really good number of very consequential senators willing to tell Biden to drop out. Kaltenberg says, like many bad situations, it's fine until it collapses. I don't know what's going to happen here. But again, there's a lot of reporting out there that says there's a bunch of big donors and members of Congress who don't want him to run, who have not gone public yet. Thank you, Snapper, for your support. Mike O for your support. Alex S for your support. Alex thinks he's afraid about the next steps to remove him before the elections. Now, I haven't heard anybody talk about that, Alex. I haven't heard about anybody. The concern to me that I'm hearing is just that a bunch of people don't want him to run for the next election. Run in the next election. Thank you, Alex, for your support. Thank you also, Joe, for your support. And Andrew Schlegel. Cindy J thinks he needs to resign. Envy thinks it's like when you need to take away your grandpa's car keys for bad driving and he won't hand them over. I can't play the interview. You can go watch it. I've posted. There's a link posted. I'll post it again, but you can watch it. I was hoping maybe we would get the transcript released. I mean, it's now aired on both ABC and ABC on YouTube. ABC News on YouTube. Oops. Link to interview. But I was hoping that they would post the transcript. Let me check and see. So the headline on ABC right now, and they aired the interview, is the headline on ABC News is Biden dismisses concerns about mental fitness. And I think dismisses is a good word to use. It was dismissive and denying. Patricia J. says the only way you can change minds is to do another debate. By the way, there is not, and also the New York Times headline is Biden dismissing concerns, says only Lord Almighty could drive him from race. So again, that word dismissing, I saw an interview today he did on a tarmac with a reporter or some reporters, and he kept telling the reporters, like, you've been wrong about everything. You were wrong in 2020. You were wrong in 2022. It was very, again, dismissive, kind of angry. That's been the tone today. Defensive. That's the tone. John says no more debates until September. There's supposed to be one on September 10th. I don't think Trump will do it. I don't know why Trump would want to give Biden a chance to do better in a debate. But who knows? Yes, so here's the quote that Biden gave. The New York Times posted the quote. You can find clips of it out there too. Here's the quote Biden gave on the tarmac to assembled reporters today, before boarding Air Force One. He said, "You've been wrong about everything so far." He was kind of angry when he said this, because I watch it. "You've been wrong about everything so far. You were wrong about 2020. You were wrong about 2022. You were wrong about getting wiped out. Remember the red wave. You were wrong about 2023. I do think it's important that from today, that's what I have found, I think, most interesting today, is this very combative, dismissive, I find it sometimes angry tone that he has taken today. Oh, he also said, like, he was like, during his appearance today, he was talking about, like, people who, he seemed to be addressing it to it, like, he seemed to be talking about, like, people who wanted him to he was saying something like, they want to drive me from the race or something. But as somebody I follow on X said, like, it's not like he was talking about Republicans. He was talking about the people, the Democrats, who want to drive him from the race. So kind of combative. Violent Lilac says, if not Biden, who? Well, the people that are cited as possible candidates are obviously Vice President Harris. There are a number of governors who are cited as possible candidates. Governor Whitmer of Michigan, Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Governor Newsom of California, Governor Pritzker of Illinois. There's a bunch of candidates out there. Governor Beshear of Kentucky. A number of governors have been cited as possible candidates. Now, you might say, I don't know those people, and that's fine. That's fine. But I do, sometimes in presidential races that happens, where people, Jimmy Carter was governor of Georgia, Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas. Barack Obama was a senator, but was he that well known? I don't know that he was. Maybe after, if he did step down and there was a couple months of campaigning among these potential candidates, America would probably know them a lot better. But I'm sure if in a world in which he stepped down, the Democrats would want to get the candidate or candidates out there as much as they could, because there'll be less name recognition. Jamlil says, I never heard of Obama until he ran. Laura G says, it's easy to get angry when you feel like you're being pecked to death by a duck. Our viewer, Talking Options, sent me a comment from Fox News contributor and former White House press secretary Ari Fleischer, who thought this interview wasn't good for Democrats because he didn't, he said Biden committed no real flubs. I mean, I think somebody could argue that, but it's not like it was a complete meltdown. But Ari Fleischer thinks that Biden didn't do anything to force himself out of the race, but he also felt he appeared, he says, old, weak, tentative, and he's losing to Trump. The point is, Ari Fleischer thought that the interview didn't really help Biden, but it also is not going to make it more likely he gets out of the race. That's what Ari Fleischer thought. Kaltenberg says, don't think it helped. Samuel Tambagnan says, angry, dismissive, debunk, denial. Thanks, Joe, for your support, by the way. Hey, a quick thanks to our moderators. I really appreciate our moderators who've been here for this. We don't really do this often, but it's kind of rare when there's like an interview that the country is watching. So we did a kind of a watch party thing tonight. Ruth Krafasi's over there on YouTube moderating. Thank you, Ruth. Linda Belk and Larry over on X, on Twitch. Big Ball of Yarn, David Green, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, McBritches, Sarah, and Papa Bear. Paul Anderson, Christina Neal over there on Facebook. Kay Lowry Body, thank you. I kind of want to watch the whole thing again. I watched it. I kind of want to see the whole thing again. I can't show it though. I don't have rights to the footage. Can't just steal their footage. If I did, I'd show it. Maina Salon says, where do the other possible candidates stand on the issues, not who but what? I can't answer that question for you, Maina Salon. I don't have detailed policy proposals at hand from all the different candidates. So it would be interesting to see maybe if they were running against each other, how they might distinguish themselves in terms of policy. But I unfortunately cannot give you the answer you are seeking. So I apologize, Maina Salon. Thank you for your support. I don't know, among the Newsom, Harris, Shapiro, Pritzker, Whitmer, there's no one of them that's known for having their policies would be so different. When you think of somebody like a Bernie Sanders, you think really progressive policies or something, But I mean, at least for me, maybe some of you are experts on these people, but from what I know about them, I'm not aware of any kind of oh my gosh, that person would be so different from all the others in terms of their policies. I'm guessing if they ran, they would probably espouse policies, they thought that the Democratic voters would basically agree with. I'm sure they have some differences on things that I don't know about, but I'm just talking about big picture kind of thing. Bilbo Baggins says they don't have any bombastic personalities. So, but again, I don't know the specifics about their policy backgrounds. It's also possible that in a world in which Biden stepped down and they said we're gonna, and the candidates decided I'm going to go for this, they would then have to really like nail down what they're going to have their policies be. Okay, so look, guys, the New York Times says the headline about the interview was Biden dismissing concerns, says only Lord Almighty could drive him from race. And then the first paragraph says, in a defiant interview that aired Friday night, President Biden dismissed concerns about his health and doubts about his reelection bid. So this is just what we were saying, and you guys were saying. We were talking about him being defiant and dismissive. So, and then also, hey, in the second paragraph, the New York Times article, it says, Stephanopoulos repeatedly pressed Biden about his health and more subtly whether he is in denial about his ability to win the election. Mr. Biden, smiling but clearly defensive, answered by reciting the record of his first term. So just in the first two paragraphs there in the headline from the Times, we get the words defiant, defensive, and dismissive, which is three of the words that I know you guys were suggesting, some of you. And I do think all of those apply to the interview. Thanks so much to One Way Street for your support. One Way Street and John DFW. John says Sanjay Gupta thinks Biden should take a cognitive test and make it public. Now, I saw a little of Sanjay Gupta on today. I didn't watch everything he said, so I can't confirm that's what John said. But thank you, John. I mean, certainly that's something that several times he was asked by Stephanopoulos in the interview, and he would not commit to taking a cognitive test. Thank you, John DFW. Thank also to One Way Street. One Way Street says voters needed honesty. Could his oblivious to voters' concerns about current state of appearance and poll numbers raise questions about his mental state? Shouldn't he just own it and admit mistakes? Look, I mean, you know, as I was saying, Derek, earlier, well, so there's a question of, I think it's an interesting question you raised. It's like, so when George Stephanopoulos asked Biden about his bad polling numbers, and Biden says he thinks it's a toss-up, and he questions the polls, is that really what Biden believes, or is he just kind of, is that like campaign talk? I can't say. So when Biden is asked, did you watch the debate? And he says, no, I don't. He says, I don't think I did, no. I mean, is he just lying? Did he actually watch the debate? I mean, you think he did watch the debate. Is he saying that as a campaign thing? Does he really not remember if he watched the debate? So, you know, some of these, in order to answer what Derek's asking about, you sort of would have to figure out, I think, for some of these things, whether he's telling the truth or he's just speaking and saying, well, here's what I think would be the best politically for me to say. So I don't know if he's, you know, is he just denying things just as a political expedient, or is he denying things that you might say there's good evidence for and he's just in denial? So I leave it to you to analyze why he's answering certain questions the way he is. But I understand your point about obliviousness to voters' concerns. As I said, this did not seem to me to be an interview in which he reached out to the voters who are concerned and the donors who are concerned and the people in Congress who are concerned. What he did in the interview and what he did in his rally today too, when he said stuff like, they are trying to get me to go out of the race, but I'm still running. He basically said something like that. It was very like combative against those other forces that are trying to push him out. But it was not like reaching out to them. I didn't think that today. I didn't feel he was reaching out and trying to acknowledge them and encourage them and listen to their concerns. When you're denying you're down in the polls, you're not listening to concerns of people who think the polls are correct and are worried that you're losing ground because of the debate. So it's now, is that what he was advised to do? Did his advisors say, no, do not acknowledge these issues? you just go and you power through. Or is that just what he wanted to do? But that was the attitude today. Chaz says, reach out to the people calling you too old to do your job. Well, look, I mean, you need voters. You need votes. So if it's true, I think, was it a CNN poll? I think CNN and Wall Street Journal have had polls where like a large majority of voters have said they thought he was too old for the job. Let's see here. Wall Street Journal said that they did a poll where is it here? Sorry, I have to find it. Morning Consult said 4 days ago, fewer voters than ever see Biden as mentally fit. 37% of voters say Biden is mentally fit, a record low. I mean, there's similar polling out there. There was a CNN survey in which an overwhelming majority of 75% of voters said they believe Democrats would have a better chance of winning the election if somebody else was the party's nominee. So, I mean, my point is that there's a lot of people who have questions about them, and he needs votes. So I would think if you want to get votes and you want people to feel excited about voting for you, that you would be concerned with a lot of people having these negative views of you. So I don't know that he has the luxury of just saying like, oh, they think I'm too old. Well, screw them. I'm not going to worry about reaching out to them. Then you're writing off a lot of people. It's not just a little sliver of people, according to the polls. So, if 2% of the people thought he was too old, maybe at that point he's like, well, is it really worth me to reach out to these people? Do I want to waste the time? But we're talking about a big chunk of people here. I don't think he can afford to just write off everyone who thinks he's too old, because that's going to be a huge amount of voters. Paula Thompson says it's very few people. So Paula thinks the polling is incorrect. JM says they have to take him out kicking and screaming. Well, it's really up to him. There's no way that anyone else can get him out of the race. I mean, he's won the delegates, and they have to vote for him. So at the convention. So he's got to be the one who steps down. Ann Carolyn says the problem is the media will only concentrate on Biden's fitness and on nothing else. Look, I think this is a problem for the Democrats right now. If he's going to, so that's, I mean, it's understandable that if there's a movement to get the president to not run for the next term, that's a big deal. That's a big story. That's going to get covered. That's going to get covered, especially after that debate performance. So I don't think it helps Democrats. It certainly is not helping his campaign. I can't imagine that it's helping his campaign in the limited number of days left to the election to have an entire day where the country is discussing whether he's too old or not. I can't imagine that's a great thing. That's great for his chances of winning the election. So whatever happens here, you would think it's got to get settled one way or the other, because, again, I'm no elections expert. I just don't think these kind of news cycles are in the Democrats' interest. Sarah thinks the interview is another proverbial nail in his campaign coffin. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, not about age, we all have a time. Thank you, Jessica S. as well. Jessica S. says, Biden's issues are nothing new and acknowledging it shouldn't be looked at as adversarial. She wishes people would consider RFK. Thanks to our member, Jersey, Texas. But I would be surprised if many people who had significant doubts about Biden watched that interview and were like, I don't have doubts anymore. I may be wrong, but I would be surprised. Also, just to be clear, there's been many people out there I've heard, I believe, certainly big, important Democrats say that they would like him to go do, say, a live interview or a live press conference where he answers questions or town halls where he takes live questions. And that has not been done yet. That has not been done. This was not a live interview. He answered questions. It was replayed in full. Also, it was probably questions that he basically knew he was going to get. It wasn't like lots of different topics. So we'll see if he does any of that. Kelly Ann Minnis says that he won't do it, he can't do it. Jersey, Texas thinks he can't do these things on his own. Okay, let me just get you a little other feedback here. And also, I would be surprised if there are, and from what the reporting says, there's a bunch of Democratic members of Congress who haven't spoken out yet, who want him to step down. I don't know that they're going to look at that interview tonight and say, oh, I feel so much better about him. Denying, if you're a Democrat in Congress and you're worried about Biden, not just losing the election, but costing House and Senate seats by dragging candidates down, you probably don't love to hear Biden saying, oh, I think it's a toss-up, and denying that he's behind in the polls, or denying that he's just denying the polls are accurate and saying, I think it's a toss-up. The headline in the Wall Street Journal is, Biden forcefully rejects efforts to push him out. The president defiantly rejected calls to withdraw, telling voters in battleground Wisconsin that he's determined to win re-election against Trump. This might be actually talking about his appearance today in Wisconsin, but it was defiant. He said, from a teleprompter, he said, guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. Again, that would be not Republicans, but Democrats, as I said earlier. Well, let me say this clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race, he said. The headline on NBC News right now is, Biden refuses to take a cognitive or neurological test in his first post-debate TV interview. When asked by ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos whether he had watched his debate performance, the president replied, I don't think I did, no. That's the headline on NBC News. The president reiterated multiple times that the debate was nothing more than a bad night. I got to say that, I'm going to say this as well. Because that clearly, for those of you who watched the interview, you can see he kept saying bad night. His people have said bad night. I think reasonable people out there would watch that debate, and it would be entirely reasonable for them to have the reaction, no, that's not just a bad night. That was my reaction. That seems to me more than a bad night. So, just to be clear, in this interview tonight, that was the line that he kept saying over and over again. It's a bad night. So, I do think that's another case where you're denying, where you're not acknowledging. That's at least for me. Because you should at least say, if you're going to say bad night, you should say like, look, I get that for a lot of people, they would look at that and say, that's more than a bad night. I don't think he ever said that. Maybe Stephanopoulos said something like that. I don't think Biden ever said anything like that in the interview. But even just the fact that tonight he kept saying bad night, and let's not forget this. I think we tend to forget this because we hear it over and over again and we get used to it. But he blamed having a cold. He again talked about having a cold. I'll say it again. I don't think anyone acts like that because they had a cold. But he said it again. So it's just sticking to these points. And he could have tonight said something different. He could have said, look, he could have just said, look, clearly, having the cold would not explain how I did that. But he didn't say that. And he talked about and there's the travel and everything. But again, it's not like he backtracked on any of that stuff. Or he could have said something different. And I think lots of people out there just hear that stuff and are like, well, you're just, if you're telling me that's from a cold and travel that happened more than a week before the debate, you're just not acknowledging what happened. So again, I think because we've heard that before from the White House, we can kind of let it slide, or we don't notice it as much. But let's be clear, he is still saying that. So I don't know what's going to happen with this story. I don't know what's going to happen. I have a feeling that more members of Congress and more donors are going to apply more pressure. But he seems pretty set on staying in right now. The New York Times reports, Katie Rogers, the outside world will discuss this interview, but within Biden's circle, the appearance is seen as enough to keep him in the fight for now, according to those inside it who watched it and knew he had limited time to make a case. It is described as a modest turn in his direction with more to do. Also, the Times reports that Julian Castro, one-time Democratic presidential candidate who previously has called for Biden to drop out of the race, told MSNBC Biden is in denial about the decline people can clearly see. Mark Boole, a prominent Democratic donor, told ABC News, the Times also says that Mark Boole, a prominent Democratic donor, after the interview, responded to Biden's dismissing concerns of his age and condition in the interview by saying Biden is on a slide that he is trying to curb. If he isn't successful, he may soon become a verb. Anyways, the point is that's a Democratic donor who seems to think that Biden is dismissing concerns about his age and condition. The Washington Post reports Biden sent out a fundraising email tonight echoing the defiance he expressed during his rally today and the ABC television interview. The email says, "Look, while this team has had my back every step of the way, the pundits and politicians have continually gotten it wrong. Dead wrong," the email said. "They were wrong about 2020. I beat Donald Trump then, and I will do it again this year." And ABC News' Jonathan Karl said for some Democrats, the interview raised new concerns, particularly the fact that Biden is unwilling or unaware of the fact that he is in a dire situation here regarding the campaign. Karl did say that in the interview, Biden was more coherent than he looked during the debate. I will take a few more comments here. Chaz thinks this is self-sabotage. Muted Growl thinks being this flippant is such a terrible approach for him. Danette says, "So now he thinks he looks like an outsider. I'm confused by this tactic." It's very combative. This was a very combative day for Joe Biden. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, this headline is not incorrect. I didn't change this headline, but in a way it's not incorrect, because if you go to ABC News YouTube, you can watch the interview at any time at this point. But Biden defiant in interview with ABC. Okay, I'll put that up there. William Tell says this story is not going away. I agree with you there, William Tell. I think it's becoming bigger and bigger. Pete Zaria says, "Do people really believe any president would tell the news if he was planning on retiring?" Wessy's Corner Emporium says, "Do they want him to step down as president or just not run?" The Democrats who I've heard want him to just not run. I don't hear donors and Congress people suggesting he step down. Yes, you can watch. I have posted at the top of the chat a link to the interview. You can go to ABC News on YouTube and watch it if you haven't seen it. It's interesting. Michael Tomasky, who is an editor of the New Republic, it's like a news-based news journal about current events and policy, if I remember right. He gives and it's left-leaning. He gives a similar analysis to Ari Fleischer, who's a right-wing figure, Republican figure. And what he said is, Michael Tomasky said, "That was the worst possible outcome, not anywhere near good enough to settle matters, but also not quite bad enough to be a slam dunk that he has to go tomorrow." Oh, we got the transcript. The transcript is out. Hey, the transcript is out. The transcript has been released of the interview. I'm going to post it. Biden ABC interview transcript now out. Guys, I'm going to post a link to the interview transcript. Interview transcript at ABC News. It's there. I'll show you. See, if you go to ABC News, it says full transcript. There it is. Hang on. I just posted the link. Maybe we'll look at it a little bit. Maybe let's just scroll through for a second. It was a bad episode, no indication of any serious condition. Why? You know, he said that Stephanopoulos said you complained about all this travel you did before, but then you came home 11 to 12 days before the debate. Why wasn't that enough time? Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked if they did a COVID test because they're trying to figure out what was wrong. And they did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, you know, a virus. I didn't. I just really had a bad cold. So again, blaming the debate performance on travel that happened almost 2 weeks before the debate and having a bad cold. I mean, this is his words. Did you ever watch the debate afterwards? I don't think I did, no. What were you experiencing as you're going through the debate? He said, this is kind of an odd answer. You know, he says, you know, what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going? One thing he says, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points for the debate, which they never did. They never had him down 10 points. The most he's been down in the New York Times poll is 6 points, and that was after the debate. I just had a bad night. You've had some bad interviews once in a while. I mean, look at this. Guys, this is being just kind of defensive and dismissive. But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question in, even before he spoke. Well, I just had a bad night. You've had some bad interviews once in a while. I can't remember any, but I'm sure you did. So he's just comparing it. He's equating his bad night with George Stephanopoulos doing a bad interview. See, I don't even remember him saying that in the interview. But that's just basically saying it's not that big a deal. I mean, so his bad night in the debate was equivalent to George Stephanopoulos doing a bad interview? I mean, that's basically minimizing how bad the night went. Stephanopoulos, I'm not going to read every word of this. I'm going to post a link to the whole transcript is available. You can go read the whole thing. So I'll post a link to it again. I just like to skim through and kind of just see what's here and talk about it. Uh, And so he says, like, after that debate, I did 10 major events in a row, including a 2 in the morning. After 2 in the morning after the debate, I did events in North Carolina. I did events in Georgia, did events like this today, large crowds, overwhelming response, no slipping. And I just had a bad night. I don't know why. And then there's this whole thing. How quickly did it come to you that you were having that bad night? Well, it came to me I was having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting. And I let it distract me. I'm not blaming it on that, but I realized I just wasn't in control. And again, I have never heard him. This is like this new thing where he's saying that he's blaming it on letting Trump distract him because Trump was shouting when Trump's mic was off? Like, has anyone heard this before? I mean, he said this in the interview. I'm reading you the transcript of the interview. He literally said this in the interview. He said it. So again, I have not, the White House hasn't said this before. I don't know whether Biden said it before. I've heard no one report that Trump was shouting when his mic was off. So I think it's important. I know it's a 22-minute interview and it's hard, there's so much there, but I think it's important to point out that he literally said this in the interview. And it's like, where is this coming from? So let's see. Talks about New York Times report that he's been having more lapses. Are you the same man that you were when you took office 3.5 years ago? And then he talks about a bunch of his accomplishments. This is all like accomplishments from his administration that he talks about. It doesn't really answer the question, are you the same man today that you were when you took the office? The question is about these reports that he's been having some issues lately, like his lapses. And that's kind of not an answer to that. And then Stephanopoulos says, but what does all that work over the last 3.5 years cost you physically, mentally, emotionally? He said, I think it just cost me a really bad night. I'm optimistic about the country. Again, not really answering the questions. We're going to do all this stuff. Then he talks about his economic plan before compared to Trump's. Stephanopoulos, I understand that. I'm not disputing that. What I'm asking is about your personal situation. Do you dispute there have been more? So Stephanopoulos is still trying to get him to comment on the report that there's been more lapses recently. And then he says, can I run the 110 flat? No, but I'm still in good shape. Okay. Here's the thing about the cognitive test. I know you've said you have an ongoing assessment. Have you had a full neurological and cognitive evaluation? And then he says, I get a full neurological test every day with me. And I've had a full physical. So again, not really addressing the question, kind of evading the question. And he said, I know your doctor said he conducted with a neurologist. I guess I'm just asking, slightly different question. Have you had specific cognitive tests? Have you had a neurologist, a specialist do an evaluation? He says, no one said I had to. No one said they said I'm good. Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included a neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people? Then he says again, look, I have a cognitive test every single day. It's this line. He says the same line again. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. Again, it's just kind of campaign talk. It's not really addressing the question. And And then it's Stephanopoulos again, to reassure people, would you be willing to have the independent medical evaluation? And then he says, watch me between, there's a lot of time left in this campaign. Stephanopoulos. So the answer is Biden. They'll make a decision. Stephanopoulos. Right. So the answer right now is no, you don't want to do that right now. President Biden says, well, I've already done it. And so it's just like that whole part of the interview, Biden could have just said no from the beginning. You know? So again, it's just he's in that section he's fighting Stephanopoulos and being evasive. You know, so defensive. Stephanopoulos, you talked about a lot about your successes in the beginning of this interview, and I don't want to dispute that. But as you know, elections are about the future, not the past. The question on so many people's mind right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years? And then he starts talking about his accomplishments again. I'm the guy that put NATO together. No one thought that could happen. You know, I'm the guy that put together the South Pacific Initiative. I'm the guy that got 50 nations out. I'm the guy that did this. It's a similar answer, right? So he did this earlier in the interview where Stephanopoulos is asking him about the future and he lists his accomplishments from the first 4 years. He says, I guess my point is all that takes a dole. Do you have the mental and physical capacity to do it for another 4 years? Then he does say, I believe so. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I did. Stephanopoulos, are you sure you're being honest with yourself when you say you have the mental and physical capacity to serve another 4 years? He says, yes, I am. The last thing I want to do is not be able to meet that. I think as some of senior economists and senior foreign policy specialists say, if I stop now, I would go down in history as a pretty successful president. No one thought I'd get done what we got done. Again, I don't know why he's talking about that there, because that's not what the question's about. But so Stephanopoulos, going back to the question, but are you being honest with yourself as well as your ability to defeat Donald Trump right now? Yes, 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 yes. You say that, let me challenge you, sure. Because you were close but behind going into the debate. You're further behind now by any measure. It's been a two-man race for several months. Inflation has come down. In those last few months, he's become a convicted felon, yet you're still falling further behind. Biden, you guys keep saying that, George. Look, you know polling better than anybody. Do you think polling data is accurate as it used to be? So here, Stephanopoulos is saying, you know, what do you think about you being behind in the polls and you losing ground in the polls? And Biden just denies that the polls are accurate. He says, and Stephanopoulos, when all the polling data right now, it shows he's certainly ahead in the popular vote, maybe even more so ahead in the battleground states. And then he's, you know, Biden, look, I remember them telling me the same thing in 2020. I can't win. The polls show I can't win. Remember 2024, 2020, the red wave was coming. Anyways, Stephanopoulos says, but 2020 was a close race and your approval rating has dropped significantly since then. I think the last poll I saw was 36%. The number of Americans who think you're too old to serve has doubled since 2020. Wouldn't a clear-eyed political calculus tell you it's not going to be much better? It's going to be much tougher to win in 2024. And Biden says, not when you're running against a pathological liar, nor when he hasn't been challenged in any way that he's about to be challenged. Stephanopoulos, you've had months to challenge him. I've had months, but I was doing a hell of a lot of other things. Stephanopoulos, do you really believe you're not behind right now? President Biden, I think it's in all the pollsters I talk to tell me it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. And when I'm behind, there's only one poll I'm really far behind. CBS poll and NBC, and then Stephanopoulos. Well, New York Times and NBC both have you about 6 points behind. And then he says, that's exactly right. New York Times had me behind before. Anything having to do with this race had me behind 10 points. That's the second time he said this. New York Times never had him behind 10 points. 10 points they had me behind. Nothing's changed substantially in the New York Times poll. So again, this whole exchange here, it's kind of like that exchange they had about the medical exam, where it just goes on because he basically won't acknowledge that he's behind. He's like fighting this premise of the question that he's behind in the polls. You know, Stephanopoulos is bringing up to him that he's behind in the polls. And then it's just this back and forth because Biden keeps denying it. Stephanopoulos, but you're now behind in the popular vote. President Biden, I don't buy that. So I'm just showing you the transcript here. Okay. Stephanopoulos, have you convinced yourself only you can defeat Trump? Biden, I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done. If you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Trump, will you stand down? President Biden, it depends on if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, I might do that. So I guess that makes it sound, I don't want to read into it too much, but it sort of sounds like he thinks the only way, he thinks like no one else could convince him that he cannot not defeat Trump. So here's the thing with Mark Warner. I mean, on a more practical level, Stephanopoulos says, the Washington Post reported in the last hour that Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of senators to try to convince you to stand down because they don't think you can win. Biden, well, Mark is a good man. We've never had something. He also tried to get the nomination too, which I showed you another reporter, I think it was Andrew Feinberg, he said he never actually ran for president and he had an exploratory committee in 2008. But my point is, Biden saying this almost seems like he's like saying Mark is jealous of me being president or something. Anyways, he says Mark's not. Mark and I have a different perspective. I respect him. And if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the Senate, how will you respond? He says, I'd go into detail with them. I've spoken to all of them in detail. They all said I should stay in the race. None of the people said I should leave. But if they do, well, it's like, laugh, they're not going to do that. Stephanopoulos, you're sure? Well, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, look, he says this again. If the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'd get out of the race. The Lord Almighty is not coming down. I mean, these hypotheticals, George, I mean, it's all. Yeah, I don't really know what he's getting at with the Lord Almighty comment that he keeps saying. Let's see. He says, I had all the governors. Stephanopoulos, I agree that the Lord Almighty is not going to come down, but if you're told reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate if you stay in, what will you do? President Biden, I'm not going to answer that question. It's not going to happen. What's your plan to turn the campaign around? You saw it today. Now, this is an interesting section. What is your plan to turn the campaign around? Biden, you saw it today. Now, he did a rally today where he read off a teleprompter. You saw it today. How many people draw crowds like I did today? Find me more enthusiastic than today, huh? So, I mean, you'd think maybe he might say something like, I'm going to do a bunch of live interviews and town halls or something. But he didn't say anything like that. He said, you saw it today. Stephanopoulos says, I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that. Biden, he can draw a big crowd, but what does it say? Who does he have? I'm the guy supposedly in trouble. We raised $38 million, talking about money. Stephanopoulos, you haven't seen the fall off in the polls? Asking about the polls again. You haven't seen the reports of discontent in the Democratic Party, House Democrats, Senate Democrats? Biden, I've seen it from the press. Again, denying that he's behind in the polls, denying that there's a bunch of Democrats with serious concerns. Again, he says, Stephanopoulos says he's talked to Biden supporters who are worried about Biden in the country and they don't think you can win. They want you to go with grace and they will cheer you if you do. What do you say to that? Biden, I say the vast majority are not where these folks are. I don't doubt there are some folks there. So again, this again is is denying. It's saying the vast majority of Democrats don't feel that way about me. Mr. President, I've never seen a president 36% approval get reelected. Biden, well, I don't believe that's my approval rating. That's not what our polls show. And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, maybe everything the people were warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January? Biden, I'll feel as long as I gave it my all and did the goodest job. I don't worry about goodest. He's probably thinking of a different word. As I know I can do. That's what that's what this is about. He says, I think the United States in the world is at an inflection point when things happen. The next several years are going to determine what the next 7 decades are going to be like, and who's going to be able to hold NATO together like me. Who's going to be able to be in a position where I'm be able to keep the Pacific Basin in a position where we're at least checkmating China now? Who's going to do that? Who has that reach? You know, I do feel like there's a world in which maybe he would have done more of this. He didn't really do it much. I think what he's saying here is he's trying to make this argument like, look, these other candidates are not as good candidates as me, you know, and maybe he could have spent more time doing that to try to sell voters, because if you do that, you're trying to sell voters like, look, I'm the person for this job. I don't think he did that much in this interview. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of go over, we just skimmed through the transcript, and I'll post a link for it, a link again. You can read the whole transcript. You can go watch the interview on ABC News, on their YouTube. But I will say, I mean, something you see from just going through that transcript like that again, is he's just denying a lot of things. I mean, the clock should not be on here. Why is that clock on? Oops, I didn't fix the headline here. Has it been like that the whole time? Sorry, I didn't realize the headline was all messed up. I was reading and thought it was fixed. There we go. I apologize if the headline was just messed up the entire time I was reading that. Probably was. Yeah, it was. I didn't even see it. Sorry, I didn't notice. But yeah, so my point is it okay here? Oh, geez. Look at this. It's all I thought I had fixed it earlier, and it's all messed up. Well, that's what happened. Sorry. I apologize. Anyways, my point is we just kind of skimmed through that entire transcript, and there's a lot of denial there. There's a lot of denial. He's denying that he's behind in the polls. He's denying that he has a low approval rating that the polls show. When he's asked whether he'll take a cognitive test, he kind of just evades the question and says other things. And finally, at the end, he says, does he say no even at the end? I don't remember. Did he get to a no? I think he finally said no because they didn't say I had to or something. Or maybe he said that and it was a lot. It was a lot to get there. And a lot of like, a couple times he said, well, I take a test every day by doing his job, you know. So, you know, there's that kind of stuff, sort of being evasive and poo-pooing it. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm looking back. I don't even know that he ever formally said, like, no, I'll definitely not take a test. Anyways, yeah, he kept kind of like being evasive on it. And then, you know, so there was a lot of evasiveness and denying things, saying that, questioning the polls and saying the polls weren't accurate. You know, not a case where he came out there and acknowledged that it was like a debate performance that a lot of people thought was really bad and not just the result of like having a cold or traveling 2 weeks before the debate, and really didn't. And basically he said most people in the Democratic Party don't have these concerns about him. So it really did not acknowledge those concerns. This was not an interview where he goes out there and acknowledges the concerns and offers something to those people who are concerned and addresses them and says like, look, I understand your concerns. Here's how I'm going to address them. A lot of it was just basically denying the concerns. I mean, just look at the interview. Just go read it and watch it again. Which is interesting to me because I thought that the reason he's doing this is to deal with these concerns and address them. Anyways, I'm going to read some of the comments. Sorry. And I want to just go. I think it's helpful to go through the transcript and see what was said. Brig Commander says, to be honest, he could have just not done the interview. I don't know. It doesn't seem it really does much to even reach out to the people who had the concerns. Now, maybe it reaches out to them in the way that he wasn't like just sitting there saying nothing. So in that sense, maybe it reassures people that he can like do an interview. But it just seemed like a lot of it was very defensive and denying and not addressing not acknowledging the concerns and not acknowledging that he has significant problems with the election facing him now. Chaz says he says you don't need a. I might be taking Chaz out of context. Chaz says you don't need a cognitive exam unless you show symptoms of something serious. I think some people who watch the debate would think that's something serious. Oh, quick thanks to no, Dana, that story is not true about the Biden medical emergency. That was never reported by any reliable source. But I really appreciate it, Dana. Thank you. Thanks for your support. Thanks also, Allie B. from Tennessee. Allie was trying to, I'm sorry, like when I started reading the transcript and I didn't realize the headline was messed up. And the whole time I was going over the transcript, the headline was messed up. So anyways, I'm sorry. Thanks, Camus, who says, will he be 25th Amendmented? The 25th Amendment is something by which other government officials can take control of the presidency temporarily if they feel that the president is like unable to complete his duties. But that's not where we're at right now. I mean, that's like something where, the example I use is if the president bumps his head and thinks he's like a different person or something. You can see here from Wikipedia here, 25th Amendment, whenever the vice president, a majority of blah, 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 transmit to the president, pro tempore, the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Yeah, that's not, I mean, you might not think he is, but I think most people are going to think that he can actually do the duties of his office. It's not, I think it's meant for something, again, a more extreme case. Thanks to Jackie Morgan. Yeah, Jackie was telling me the headline was messed up as well. Sorry, thanks, Jackie. Thanks to Just Me. And Wicked Fair says, what does he mean Trump is about to be challenged? I think he meant that like he's ramping up his campaign now. Wicked Fair says, if Trump just talking throws him off, how can he expect to run the country? Thank you, Adventurer, for your support. Kirby. Thank you, Cucker Tarlson. Tucker thinks his mental decline has been evident since the 2020 campaign trail. Thanks, Emily, Queen of Chocolatonia, for your support. Cam Moose says Nate Silver thinks the 25th Amendment will be invoked. I didn't see Nate say that. Maybe he did, but I can't imagine it. Thanks, Jessica S., who says this is U.S. is military superpower and our president loses control if he gets shouted at. Again, what they're referring to is this. I thought it was a strange comment. I don't see it talked about that much, but it seemed like a strange comment to me, where Biden said, when he basically said like something like that that a big factor in the debate was that he heard Trump shouting when his mic was off. I mean, he said this. Stephanopoulos, what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going? Biden, yeah, look, the whole way I prepared, nobody's fault mine, nobody's fault but mine. I prepared what I usually would do sitting down, as I did come back with foreign leaders or National Security Council for explicit detail. And I realized about partway through that, I get quoted. Oh, no, that's different. That's different. Sorry, that was a different answer. I'm talking about the shouting one. Down here. How quickly did it come to you that you were having that bad night? So a similar question. Well, it came to me I was having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting. And I let it distract me. I'm not blaming it on that, but I realized I just wasn't in control. Now, I guess he could be saying something like, I was focusing too much on what he was saying and not on what I was saying. I mean, you can be charitable. You kind of have to twist his words. Maybe you can be charitable and say, well, what he meant to say here is, I found that I was getting hung up on what he just said and not thinking for myself or something. But, I mean, it doesn't really sound like he said that. But I'm just trying to be charitable here. It's a strange thing to say. He mentions the microphone and everything. So, again, it's a strange comment. Okay. Anyways. But I will say, having read through that interview, I have a really hard time thinking that interview is going to make people who have their serious doubts about Biden feel better. Oh, BNO News posted about the medical emergency reports. Yeah, as I told you, there was just no reliable reporting on that. Did the White House said this? BNO News claimed that the White House said rumors were false. I mean, I didn't even know they made a statement about it. Thanks to that's from BNO News Live. Thanks to the viewer to messaging. One of the viewers messaged it. Bradley Moore messaged it to me. Bill Robertson, our viewer, writes in and says, after watching the interview, they were encouraging Biden to drop out of the race. Stephanopoulos was definitely not asking softball questions. Yeah, so I agree with Bill that these were not softball questions. But I will say this too. I mean, so I certainly think there are questions that Biden would have been expecting. And, so he wasn't, I think that, I think he was asking him tough questions, but I thought they were fair questions. I didn't think that he was saying like you definitely should leave the race. I think, Stephanopoulos was putting it out there to Biden and leaving the door open to Biden to address those doubts. A lot of what he did, it seemed, was just kind of deny that they were legit concerns. Thanks, Elizabeth, for your support. She wants there to be halftime shows for debates to break up disaster. Thanks, Elizabeth. Checking some more of the comments here. Yeah, thanks. A number of viewers sent me the transcript too, like T and Jewish Wonder. I appreciate people sending me the transcript as well. So I just want to get some of the other comments here. Red Drift says, who would really want that job? I think Red Drift is saying president. Just to clarify, ours says this was only part of the interview. The whole interview will be aired Sunday night evening. So no, that's incorrect. What happened is, originally the plan was to only show part of it tonight, but that plan changed. So that was the entire interview. There's no more of the interview. I understand what the confusion is from, but there's no more of the interview. The plan changed and all of it was shown tonight. All right, I really want to do some. My plan was kind of to do this stream and then do a hurricane stream. This has gone on longer than I thought. But I think it's an important story. And I also think when you're, I think it's important to actually look at the transcript of the interview, which we did. I think that's a better, if he's going to do an interview and it's going to be important, might as well look at the transcript. So I'm glad we did that. Hold on a second here. See, this is interesting. Fox News politics. Remember I told you, like, nobody seems to be commenting. Nobody's talking about this part where Biden blamed Trump's shouting for like having a bad debate performance. So Fox News Politics posted on their Twitter account a few minutes ago, their X account, Biden blames Trump's alleged shouting for debate debacle, despite no evidence it occurred. So Fox News is talking about it. But I told you I was very confused about that comment. So Fox News is talking about it. This is very interesting from David Rothkopf. He is with Deep State Radio, columnist Daily Beast. I've listened to him on podcasts sometimes. So he's referring to Biden like kind of being dismissive of people with concerns about him. He says, no one, not the president, not any of his most enthusiastic supporters, helps his cause by attacking others among his supporters who will also be critical to his eventual victory. I know my saying this will persuade no one, but it is a formula for political failure. So what he's talking about is, this is what we were talking about before. If Biden goes out there and just basically is dismissive of the people with concerns about him, like, he needs every vote he can get. And the polls suggest that, like, the majority of Democrats have serious concerns about him. So I see where David Rothkopf is coming from. All right, I think I want to do a hurricane stream, as crazy as that sounds. Our viewer, Jen, sent me a report from Teddy Schliefer of the New York Times saying one of the Democratic Party's single biggest donors backs Joe Biden in a rare statement from Ann Goldman Fowler, who says she continues to support President Biden. Thanks, Jen, for sending that along. Winthrop says no Democrat wants to be the first one to say Biden is sundowning, no backbone. Yeah, now a few of them have, but reportedly there's a lot more who haven't. Reportedly, I can't verify that. Kendra Yan says the interview cut off suddenly. Was that all there was? And how was that supposed to help his campaign? I do think it's a good question, is what was the strategy to help the campaign? It did not seem that like it was designed to outreach to the people with serious doubts. But maybe he thought it was just good to, I don't know. The strategy seemed to be defiant and defensive and dismissive of the doubts. I wonder if that was the intended strategy. I mean, is that what his advisors suggested he do? I don't know what the planning was for it. Noided says, I don't see how this interview has helped his image at all. All he does is deny everything. I am surprised. I will say I did not think this was where it was going. I did not think that today was going to be the defiant, kind of angry, dismissive day on Biden's part. So I'm kind of surprised by this. I was not expecting this today. April Coco says, if he can't complete another 4 years, I am fine with Kamala taking over. Okay, well, it'll be really interesting. It'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next few days. But I will say this. I'll say this. For Democrats out there, whether they're members of Congress or donors, the kind of people who might go in and ask him to step down, if those kind of people had worries about his candidacy, after today, I think they're going to say to themselves, if we don't do something, he's not stepping down. Because there might have been people out there who were like, you know what, let's kind of give him a few days to think about it. And maybe he'll kind of come to the conclusion that, maybe it's time. I think those people are just like, oh, he's clearly not stepping down unless we put more pressure on him. I think that's a message from today, that he doesn't seem like at this point, he's going anywhere. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but they might, if you're someone who wants him to step down, I don't think you're going to look at today and say, oh, I can just kind of wait for him to do it. So, for example, if Mark Warner is really putting together a group of Democratic senators to go talk to him, maybe they were waiting a few days. But at this point, he might be like, well, I guess we really got to do this because he's not going to pull out on his own. Wessie's Corner Emporium says his feet are taped to the pedals on this one. Dan Beck says, take the keys. Smedley says they got to organize a new candidate awfully quick at this point. Remember also, for people who are concerned about the candidate, it's not just about presidency. There are some who are worried not just about the presidency, but about Biden's impact on House and Senate candidates. So there might be Democrats who say, look, if we replaced him, that's still not going to give us a great chance to win the presidency, but maybe it helps us with the House and the Senate. So that could be a whole other take people have on it. And congressional candidates might be worried about their own seats. All the House seats get elected every 2 years. All the House seats are up for election. So, those people might just want him to get it. Some people might want him to just get out, even no matter who replaces him. Joe says this will clearly show the administration tonight and tomorrow what people think from comments and concerns for sure. All right. Hey, thanks, Peasy Wheats. Peasy Wheat says he could have asked if Hunter's felony charges and upcoming court dates were a distraction on his mind, but they didn't go there. Yeah, I mean, I could have seen that as being a question. It's an interesting question to ask. It's an interesting question to ask for him to ask. Thanks, Peasy Wheats. Camus says, I don't think Biden can complete 4 more months. Thanks, Camus. All right, so I think we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to take a little break. We may actually do kind of a short hurricane stream in a little bit because there's a hurricane that might come to Texas. So I just got to get off the air and take a few minutes break. This went longer than I thought it would. But I think it's an important story. It's a really important story. The president, there's calls for the president to not run again. This is a really important story, guys. It's getting a lot of attention, but I think it's deserved attention on this one. This is a really big story. It's really important. And genuinely, we don't know what's going to happen. We really don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I agree with Matt Weiser. Really quick, I want to just show you one thing here. It's similar to some stuff we've been saying. Matt Weiser with the Washington Post says, what's clear from President Biden's words and actions today, he has no intention of quietly or quickly leaving the race. If donors and Democrats want to alter that, they're going to have to wage a protracted and public battle. Like, this is basically what I was saying. I was saying, like, it's clear from today he's not dropping out. He has no intention of doing that. So the people who want him to drop out are going to have to put more pressure on. That's just what I said. Ann Carolyn says it's an extremely important story. Okay, so I really appreciate you joining us for our watch party. Sorry there was a little confusion with when and where this was airing. I'm sorry I was confused about it. But we were able to figure it out and get you a couple links to watch it. So yeah, the interview happened. You can go to ABC News on YouTube. I have a link pinned in the YouTube and Twitch chat. Go to ABC News on YouTube. You can watch it there. And on my X account, I posted a transcript to the interview. abcnews.com. You can get a transcript as well. So I do appreciate you guys coming by for this, doing this watch party thing. And we at least got to chat about it together and talk about it together. Yeah, subscribe, follow. I can subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. This Biden story, as I've said, stuff could happen at any time with it. So I'm guessing we'll be covering it more. But this is a huge story, and who knows where it's going next. But really appreciate you being here. Thanks for chatting, the people who chatted. Thanks for letting me read your comments on the air, for sending me messages, for helping me, for sending me the link where you were finding it, and helping me with the broadcast. And we may do, in a little bit, after I take a little break, we may do a hurricane stream, late night hurricane stream. Jen R says this was important to discuss. Also, I will post updates when I'm not on the air on my X account, which is @Lookner on X. You can follow me there, @Lookner on X. And a huge thanks to our moderators. Chat really busy tonight. Thank you to our moderators. They're the ones that let us have a chat room. so we can have a watch party like this. Ruth Krafasi, AJ, thanks for modding over there on YouTube. Thanks so much. And BZ and all of our other YouTube moderators. And Paul Anderson over on Facebook. Kay Lowry Body, Christina Neal. Hold on a second here. Hang on a moment. Margaret Riley. Bud Green. Thank you, moderators. Our Twitch mods who've been there. David Green, Idaho Star. I Got That Fire, McBritches, Sarah, and Papa Bear, thank you. Linda Belk and Larry on X. Huge thanks to our mods. I owe a thank you on Twitch to Paper City Gamer. And Wall Street for resubscribing. And Ann Carolyn for the bits. And ICPL76 for subscribing. And Sparky Pilot. I think I thanked Sparky Pilot and Relila for the gift memberships. That was yesterday. Thank you, Twitch supporters. So subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. Sign up for our free notifications. I don't know when big news is going to happen. If you want to get a notification sent to you whenever we're going live, the best way to do that is sign up for our free notifications. We do it through Discord. You click on the link, you sign up, it's free. You get your notifications for every broadcast. The mods will post a link to the notifications. And also you can, ooh, why am I over here? I want to be on me. Why am I on that thing? Oh no, I am here. Sorry, I had a brain freeze. I thought we were looking at something else. And I was like, why am I seeing that on the screen? But I'm seeing myself on the screen. I was looking at the long monitor. I was very confused. Sign up for the notifications. You can also find the notifications link on the description in the description for this broadcast on YouTube and Facebook. And what did I want to mention? At the same link, we actually have a Discord chat, and you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. A lot of our viewers like doing our Discord chat. That's at the same as the notifications link, so check that out while you're there. That's also free. Big thanks to our Discord mods, by the way. And if you want to be a volunteer moderator, that would be fantastic. There's sometimes a wait list, but ask our mods for more information about that. A quick reminder, if you do subscribe on YouTube and you want to set up the YouTube notifications, which can be good, there's a funky thing you have to do, which is click the notifications bell, click the bell, and choose all notifications, as strange as that sounds. So do that on YouTube. And by the way, I do have a personal YouTube channel where I sometimes do non-news live streaming about all kinds of things. That is called Lookner on YouTube and Look Nerd with a D on Twitch. Lookner on YouTube, Look Nerd on Twitch. Check it out. Let's real quick also oh, by the way, Annie Carney with the New York Times says the immediate reaction to the interview from some congressional Democrats is stronger than the debate, but living in a state of denial. Hey, thanks to our, I didn't even say this before. Thanks to everybody who donated. I thank people individually, but an overall thanks to everybody who donated. That is super nice of you guys. You are the ones that keep this channel on the air with your support, so I really appreciate it. Hold on one second here. Thank you. I think I thanked everybody who donated, but thank you. If you ever want to donate, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv, but huge thanks to you for allowing me to do the channel. Big thanks. By the way, Eddie Smith mentioned a story. I didn't talk about it here. I posted about it a little earlier today. The governor of Massachusetts, Maura Healey, said, and she's a Democrat. Where is it here? I posted about it earlier. I can't find it. She said the best way forward now is a decision for the president to make. I urge him to listen to American people and carefully evaluate whether he remains our best hope to defeat Donald Trump. So that doesn't sound very supportive. It sounds like she wants him to not run, but she's not explicitly saying that yet. Thanks, Eddie, for writing in. All right. Hey, let me thank our Twitch subscribers, our Facebook subscribers, and our YouTube members for supporting the channel. You guys are awesome. Thank you. For example, over there on hold on a second. I really messed everything up here. Over there on Facebook, Leanne Ticknor, thanks for being a member so much. Eve Richards, Robert Rial II, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body, thanks for subscribing. Members for YouTube, thanks for subscribing over there on Twitch. Eve Richards on Facebook. Oh, my brain has stopped working. I got to take a break. Jane Summers, Eve Richards, all of our Billy Joe Drage, all of our Facebook subscribers. Really appreciate your support. Also, our Twitch subscribers, you guys are awesome. I Got That Fire, Wall Street, Shaggy, Beautiful Profanity, Integrity Farmer Bob. Also, Agra Jog TV, Fruit Shop. Fruit Shop says, I was just confused because Trump was yelling at me. Sir Checks-a-Lot, ICPL 76, Sparky Pilot. Thanks, subscribers on Twitch. I appreciate your support. And any others I'm missing in there. And also all of our YouTube members. Thank you, Ronald Kame, Chaz, Stephen Elder, Marissa Pugliese, Monsterlin 1969, Darren 1975, Cajun Shrimp. Marin Gobra, Paul Tissue, Lucky Minute, Shaft, Marissa Pugliese, John Q. Public. John Q. Public, thanks for watching. PZ Papa Zulu, thanks for being a member. Eric Johnson, UV Lightning, Gemini Rose 55, Storm Laughter, Red Squirrel. Flor Morena, thanks for being YouTube members. Joe, Barbs, Just Me, Big Lock, Pony Boy, Cherry Sour, Marin Gobra, Complex Pixel, Sunshine, Buffalo Women, Jen R, Stephen Elder, Russell Adam B. Menson, Paul Tissue, SC Lady. Look at all these members. Thank you. Monster Lynn, PZ Papa Zulu, Xylee, Ryan Minot, Chef, and thanks Sean TV and Louis R and everybody else for your support. Thanks Sonic for letting me know about the mess up with the when they were showing the video. It's very confusing, but we sort of got it figured out. We got links for people to watch. All right. Okay, guys. So we're going to wrap up this live stream. I'm sure there will be more to this story. Who knows when we'll be on next covering it. But more developments to be had. And thanks to all of our other viewers as well. 586 Smoker, Set to Chill, Marty Hagwood, thanks Marty, our member. All right, it's time, guys. It is time. Paula Thompson, thanks for being here. And thanks, guys, for letting me read your comments. All right, Kimberly Barr, our member. All right, that is it for now, guys. We are wrapping this up. We're wrapping it up now. But I will certainly be keeping an eye on this, and I'm sure there will be more developments. So follow me on X and subscribe here, and we'll have more coverage. And we may have a hurricane stream in a little bit. I got to take a break, but we may have a hurricane stream in a little bit. All right, guys, that is it for now. You've been watching. You've been here at our watch party for the... Oh, and thanks to our member JANP as well. Thank you, JANP. You've been here. Thanks for coming to the watch party for the Biden ABC interview. And we will see you soon with more live coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.